Thought we'd take a look inside some of the numbers of Arizona, Bryan, on the road. 7-1 this year. The best road team in the NFL. Their first road loss of the season happened to come in Detroit. Mm-hmm. What? Of all places.
Watch that game. That was pretty interesting how that one was won for Detroit. A lot of penalties that kind of helped the Lions. And then basically Dan Campbell not giving a damn in a way of like, let's go for it. Let's just, they had nothing to lose. And they just kept the pressure on. They had a lot of really nice throws. Had some good runs in that game. I was surprised how well that it looked like to me that Detroit was able to kind of get some traction running the football. So maybe that's something that will play into the Cowboys' favor this week as well. They
weren't able to get it back on track against the Indianapolis Colts.
Nope. That was an interesting game too.
It was.
Yeah.
And that's why, so take these with a grain of salt. I have to say that right now because this team looks so different than what we saw that was the number one seed in the NFC, a month ago. And look, the Cowboys looked very different, 2 months ago up until last night. Now, the difference was the Cowboys were still 3-0 in December going into Washington, whereas Cardinals had lost 2 straight. So even though the Cowboys, weren't looking great offensively, they were still looking good enough to get the job done. Arizona, not so much. But can Arizona go back to what they were? And the big question is going to be without DeAndre Hopkins, if they're going to be able to do that.
I think that's big. I think when you look at the Cardinals, they miss him. They miss his big play ability. The quarterback is so unique though, the way he plays. I mean, I was watching those games, I was like going, "Oh God, look at him! Oh, he's moving around. Oh, he's ducking. And every time they made him throw, it was like, okay, I felt like they kind of had a chance. Like the ball wasn't going exactly where it needed to be. It was kind of a little high on the ground, and they were the pass rush was affecting him. But then there was at times when, like I say, the long run he had against the Colts, where it was just a straight RPO, and he pulls it, and nobody's there, and he just takes off running. And you're thinking, okay, the Cowboys, how aggressive the Cowboys play, could this be a problem? Could they, we've seen them lose contain on the edge. When Keanu Neal goes down inside, or Randy Gregory goes down inside, or Armstrong goes inside, or somebody doesn't, Leighton Vander Esch doesn't get over the top quick enough. We've seen some problems when the Cowboys have given up some chunk plays in these runs. It's not because they're getting beat up at the point of attack. It's they have a bust trying to maybe go make a play, gamble on, slanting in there, or, taking a gap that they shouldn't be taking and not playing the scheme or what they're supposed to do. So, man, it's going to be about discipline. It really, really is. Cowboys are going to have to be a very disciplined football team this weekend.
And James Conner, questionable for this game. He has been, in and out of the lineup a little bit. He did not play last week against Indianapolis, and I think having somewhat of a resurgence in Arizona because it looked like he was about done career-wise after, Pittsburgh. It was, they part ways, but he's been really impressive in the running game, in the blocking game, as well as catching the ball out of the backfield. And that's exactly what Kyler Murray needs help with, because this group this year offensively has scored 30 points per game on the road. Now, whom have they faced? Well, it's not exactly like you may think a weak schedule and some teams on here that have some pretty good defenses. How do you like Tennessee's defense?
Yeah, that was an early season one, wasn't it?
Beginning of the season.
Yeah, beginning of the season. Yeah, they did a great job. I mean, I kind of felt like that could be a rough game for Arizona, but they handled that one very, very well.
The Rams, the Browns, scoring 37 on each of those teams. Again, those were before Week 7. They also got a road in Santa Clara against the 49ers. They put 30 on that defense. And then, look, the Bears have their own set of issues, but that's still a pretty solid defensive unit. They put 33 rather easily on that group in Chicago. So it's a very capable team. And one of the things that they do well, and oh, by the way, the Cowboys at home score 38 points per game, and it's just one of the categories that they are number one in the NFL on. So you got a team that scores at home, you got a team that scores on the road, two of the best in the NFL in each category. You just wonder without DeAndre Hopkins if we're going to get the same type of output from Arizona's side.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. And I have a feeling what they're going to try and do is they're going to try and make Kyler feel as comfortable as possible. And so to me, that's easy throws. I mentioned the screens.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like, though, Will, every time they threw a screen, it was going to the right side. So if they run right side screens, that's Tank Lawrence over on that side. That's, he plays the left defensive end. And, and Tank could be a hard guy to screen. We've seen it with a couple of, look at what's happened with the tip balls the last couple of weeks. Randy with a tip ball. I
was just going to say both sides, that they are real good.
Yeah, so if all of a sudden, maybe that Arizona has to think about running the screens a little wider, so they don't have to deal with the length of the Cowboys defensive ends. But I just kind of, I have a feeling that we're going to see some of that. We're going to see, them trying to make some easy throws, get Kirk involved in this game, get Moore involved in this game. Those are two really kind of explosive players that Arizona has. And then they've got the physical backs that, you've talked about. But I don't, with Kyler, can they afford to just drop back and him try and find routes downfield? I don't think their tackles can hold up particularly well doing that. Kyler makes things, he makes a lot of things easy for his offensive line because of his mobility. Maybe some problems that they might have holding on to blocks and stuff like that. But he's by his mobility is kind of something that, they have to take advantage of that because they're not always holding up on these blocks. So I just feel like, though, if they're gonna try and throw the ball, to the outside, again, you got to worry about the Cowboys, the pass rush off the edge, and then also their ability the guys to go up and tip passes the way they have the last couple of weeks.
How about Arizona defensively, particularly in the secondary? Because the Cowboys have thrown 21 touchdown passes at home, which is second best in the league. Defensively, Arizona on the road is in the bottom third of the NFL in touchdowns allowed in the passing game on the road. Where do you see possibly areas of exploitation?
Yeah, I kind of feel like, though, when you look at the Cardinals, it is about how do you handle what's going to happen with Budda Baker. Where is he going to play in coverage? Are they going to double somebody, or is he going to take away a tight end? I love the Cowboys passing game at home. I do. I just feel like they, for some reason, when I sit in my seat there and watch them in the end zone like I do, and you watch the route development, and it just looks better. It looks like there's better spacing. It looks like their guys open. It looks like, to me, when Dak throws the ball, there's better touch. The receivers aren't having to work for the ball so much. So I think Arizona is in maybe for a little bit of some trouble there. I think
you mentioned earlier there's a rookie that they have, correct?
Yeah. They do.
The Cowboys, one of the great things they did last week was obviously spread, the wealth.
Yeah. It's Marco Wilson and he's made 13 starts for him this year. And I kind of felt like that he was a guy that doesn't have a high number of passes defensed. I think he's only got 3 or 4. I think it's 4 that he's got. Where on the other side, Byron Murphy's got like 11. So, those are the kinds of, when you start talking about, maybe a guy not getting his hands on enough footballs, Byron Murphy, number 7, is a guy that does, where on the other side, Marco Wilson, a rookie, number 20, doesn't. I would not be one bit surprised if, you try and match up Marco Wilson on the outside and take advantage of him and maybe the lack of his ability to play the football in the air.
If I were to ask you blindly between these two teams, which has the better numbers as far as plus minus and the turnover ratio? You would say probably the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, you think of all the turnovers they have. What's the number? Are they pretty close?
Arizona on the road this year is plus 17.
Yeah.
They have 20 takeaways. They've only turned the ball over 3 times. That is remarkable. Dallas is plus 5, which is nothing to, shake your head at. But, man, right there. And you wonder how much that's going to play into what we see coming up this weekend because, that's what the Cowboys do on defense. It just so happens that Arizona's been able to do that to a lot of different teams this year on the road.
Yeah, I think the thing that makes the Cowboys, their ability, they've done a great job of tackling. They've tackled the ball. They do a great job with that. They tip a lot of balls. They do a great job of finishing. How many times have we always said the Cowboys, if they could just, they get their hands on the ball and they don't finish. Well, this team is different in that way. It doesn't matter. When the ball is, when they have a chance to come down with an interception or a tip pass or something like that, that thing's not hitting the ground. They're making teams have to pay for that. And, the thing, again, I mentioned about Kyler, he's a little bit of a shorter guy. Mm-hmm. And he kind of slings the ball sidearm to get it out. So I think you're going to have some opportunities for some tip passes and stuff. He'll throw it into some contested areas. But he's had a guy like Hopkins that goes and makes those plays. Zach Ertz can make that kind of play. I think it's really going to come down to a key of kind of controlling Zach Ertz in this game. I don't think like that I kind of feel like when Kyler needs a play, that's the direction he goes.
I know, and you know what, Brian? It makes me think that the Cowboys may not be all that aggressive blitz-wise on defense. They may play back a little bit more just because they know they'll have the opportunity to make it more difficult on Kyler to see out in front of him and to get the ball behind that first level. You know what I mean by even if they're bringing Parsons, having him kind of holding at the line of scrimmage, because you get a lot of batted balls down against that guy, and that's something the Cowboys have done really well defensively. So anyway.
Nice job doing that. Absolutely.